Hi, this is Bill Carmody with a review of secondary dominants and secondary leading tone chords. What makes them secondary is that they resolve to something other than the tonic. As you know, dominants are major triads, or a 5/7 is a major triad with a minor seventh. A secondary dominant are changed to fit this criteria. So in this example, in the key of C, a D chord, a 2 chord, is a D minor chord because there are no sharps or flats. But if you change it to make it a D major chord, raise the F to an F sharp, now it is no longer a 2 chord, but a 5 chord, which the D wants to resolve to G. G is the 5 of key of C, so this D chord is a 5 of 5. Dominants resolve down a fifth. The slash is read as of. These secondary dominants are read as 5 of 6, 5 of 2, 5 of 4, and 5 of 5. Secondary chords may be in root position or inverted. Voice leading rules still apply. Don't double the leading tone or an altered note. The seventh of a 5/7 or a 7/7 chord usually resolves down a step. Leading tones in an outer voice usually resolve up to the tonic. Diminished chords are most often found in first inversion to avoid the leading tone in the bass. This is less true with secondary leading tone chords, so that the quote temporary leading tone is exposed. Still, don't double this root since it is an altered note. When determining chord symbols for macro analysis, spell the notes present, but beware of non-harmonic tones which may also be present. Arrange the notes into root position chord. Remember, if you see a fourth, the upper note is the root. If you see a fifth, the lower note is the root. The more you spell chords, the easier it becomes. Knowing the spelling of chords quickly is essential when improvising on a chord progression or harmonizing a melody from a fake book. Repetition improves your speed. Play piano from a fake book as much as possible. It has lots of benefits. Find any non-diatonic chords and analyze them with appropriate Roman numerals. For example, the A7 chord, which includes a C sharp, is not diatonic to the key of C. Since it is a major triad with a minor seventh, it is a secondary dominant, a 5/7 of something. A7 is a 5/7 of D. In the key of C, a diatonic D chord is minor. So the A7 is the 5/7 of 2. It should resolve to a D minor chord, and it does, which verifies the analysis. Notice that the G7 in measure 2 is in second inversion, as shown in the Roman numeral analysis 5/4/3. But the macro symbol is just G7. No inversion is indicated. The 1/6/4 chord in the last measure is in parentheses because it is a cadential 6/4, which is an embellishment chord and not a functional tonic chord. Also note that the bass, not the root, is doubled, as is typical with second inversion triads. The F7 chord is the dominant in second inversion. The B diminished is a secondary leading tone chord, a dotted curved line, and Roman numeral analysis shows it is in first inversion. It has degree with a 6 underneath it. The G chord is a secondary dominant, first inversion. The C minor chord leads to the F, as is shown by the curved line which bypasses the B flat 1/6/4 and connects directly to the F chord. Later we will study other examples of chords which delay their resolution by one or more chords. Filler chords, often substitute chords, which come between the dominant type chord and its resolution or tonicized resolution. leading tone. These variable chords may be mixed and matched at will. They all have basically the same effect: tonic, substitute, predominant, dominant. Tritone substitutions are used for variety and or smoothness. These alternate harmonizations are used frequently with familiar tunes, especially in jazz and nightclub arrangements. Gershwin's original progression is on the top here, and the modified progression is on the bottom. For macro analysis, remember that progressions which go down a half step are shown with a dotted curved line, just like the leading tone progressions. The chords studied in this chapter should open up a wide selection of harmonies and chord progressions. The basic three types of chords still prevail: tonic, predominant, and dominant, but the list of chords, especially in the predominant category, has greatly expanded. It is up to you to practice using these in your own compositions. The more you use them, the more comfortable you will be using them. You can create your own variations. For example, if you use a tritone substitution, it could be preceded by a 5 of that chord. And that 5 of could be preceded with a 7 of that chord, etc. Also, don't forget that you can add a sixth or a ninth to any chord without analyzing it, other than to know that you are using it. Can you see any examples of added sixths or ninths here? Non-chord tones don't count. There they are. Your homework for this chapter. And you have a figure bass, which is shown up here on top, with the figures underneath it. This circled note is circled because it's a non-chord tone, so don't analyze a chord with that one. And then when you put in the chord changes up here, use the curved lines to indicate when the roots go down a fifth, and you have a bunch of circle progressions down here, and then indicate what key you're in, and use Roman numeral analysis. Now, don't include the 6 here under the bass, and then again here with the Roman numeral. Forget the figured bass, just go with the Roman numeral. If you do have a 6 under here, that shows it's in first inversion, so your Roman numeral analysis will also have a first inversion, the 6. Here we have a major chord, a B chord, first inversion, right there. And so this is a 5-6 of 6. Here's an E minor chord, which is in root position, and it's just a 6 chord. Here's an A7 chord. Remember, don't show inversions in macro analysis, but you do show inversions in Roman numeral analysis. So this is the 5-6-5 of 5, and so on. Remember to keep your macro analysis far enough away from the stems of the soprano part so that they don't overlap or bump into each other. And the same thing with your Roman numeral analysis. Keep it low enough away from the bass line so that it doesn't bump into that. Here's a sample quiz. You should be able to do all this stuff. If not, bring a question up in class. And that's the end of that. Hope it helps. Bye-bye.